Today's conversation is on how you can have whatever it is that you want, whatever it is that you want, by finding it within yourself. We're actually going to experience it during the conversation today. You can have whatever it is, whatsoever things you desire, whatever it is that you want, by finding it within yourself. Have you noticed that as you abide as that still I am presence, beyond all appearances, which include the appearances of this world, physical appearances, people, environment, circumstance, information, mental appearances, the illusory programming that belongs to the illusory world to be renounced, the matrix programming that suggests you need to look externally or outwardly for love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Prior to that, you acknowledge that you exist beyond that. And as I exist beyond that, I inquire, who am I? And then what emerges is the love, the happiness, the peace, the bliss, the fulfillment of God as that still I am presence. So in other words, the individual abiding as that still I am presence for no reason. Not because an external condition has been met, not because of this thought, or this imaginal activity, or that imaginal activity, or this emotion, or that emotion, or this physical person, or that physical person, for no reason. Love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment permeates the body. You have successfully found the kingdom that you were seeking for your whole life. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all these things are added unto you. You found it. How do you know you found it? What else explains the love, the happiness, the peace, the bliss, the fulfillment that permeates the body, that permeates the mind, that permeates all experientially as a result of abiding as that still I am presence? Still I am, regardless of appearances. Still I am, beyond this or that. Still I am, eternally existing as unconditional love, unconditional happiness, unconditional peace, unconditional bliss, unconditional fulfillment. By doing nothing, the individual has realized that their true nature is transcendent to limitations, and thus existing as complete love, complete happiness, complete peace, complete bliss, complete fulfillment. We could say unimaginable love, unimaginable peace, unimaginable bliss, unimaginable fulfillment. As they acknowledge experientially, beyond thoughts, beyond words, beyond the need to describe the experience, we can then, after the fact of experiencing that still I am presence, we may describe it as profound love, profound happiness, profound peace, profound bliss. Yet the individual may inquire, what practical benefits are there from this still I am experience? The kiss of God, the touch of God. What is it that I can get out of this? Well, that is enough. That love, that happiness, that peace, that bliss, that fulfillment is beyond words, beyond limitations, and is greater than any kind of experience in this world. And by that I mean very precisely and specifically. It is not because of the appearances that the individual experiences love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. They're actually experiencing all these things with the appearances. Now, The source of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment is within. If they are experiencing it with the appearances and not because of the appearances, then to what degree is that true? As in, is there a limit to that love? Is there a limit to that happiness? Is there a limit to that peace? Is there a limit to that bliss? Is there a limit to that fulfillment? And I found that there is no limit. The experience is, I choose to experience that still I am presence rather than getting involved with the conflicts of this world or this or that in order to get. In other words, I don't need to do force-based things, stress-based things. For example, in entrepreneurship, I can have a business that is fun, joyous, flow-based, that is a representation of that infinite love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So I don't need to settle for less because I won't do it. I will not do something that is less than what I experience as that still I am presence. So then the individual stops settling, stops seeking for external conditions to be met, stop seeking for love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment externally, and naturally having acknowledged that I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, it is naturally, automatically added onto them as a love-based, happiness-based, peace-based, bliss-based, fulfilling business. This is true for relationships. This is true for any area of their life. And they did nothing to acquire these things, because all these things added onto the individual are symbols of God. They are symbols of God. And as God transcends all thoughts, all limitations, all conditions, beyond what the person thinks, beyond what the person imagines, they can do nothing to experience in the moment that love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment of God, and then having the mind kissed by God, blessed by God. They spontaneously arise. It is experienced as the individual remains in their flow. So I get asked the question a lot. How does one release identification to flow restrictors? So the individual's in their flow. They're always celebrating God. Here's love, here's peace, here's bliss, here's happiness, here's fulfillment. Yet at times there may be a flow restrictor. What is generating these flow restrictors if God is unconditional love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment? I know that I am unconditional love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment because I experience myself as unconditional love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, as I abide as that still I am presence. As I abide as that still I am presence, I experience that beyond these appearances, beyond these conditions, I am unimaginable love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Although I can describe it, although I can put it into words, that still doesn't capture the totality of that infinite love, infinite happiness, infinite peace, infinite bliss, infinite fulfillment. If I know that I am all these things that I desire, why is it there can appear to be a flow restrictor? And I say, what is the cause of this flow restrictor? They might say, this person, this environment, this circumstance, this situation. No shame, no condemnation. That is what we call illusions of I. Those are conditions placed upon consciousness in mind that suggest that a condition needs to be met with this person, with this environment, with this circumstance, with this information, in order to experience love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And that is illusory. That is illusory thinking that belongs to the matrix programming in mind. And so we must renounce the illusory world of the matrix programming. We must renounce that world that seems to suggest that an external condition needs to be there. It generates the illusion of the individual seeking outwardly for the love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment that they already are. We see clearly it's illusory. At that moment, do nothing. And by that I mean do nothing specifically means release identification in the moment. Allow the thoughts to be, allow the emotions to be, allow the appearances to be, as you relax into that still I am presence in the moment. Abide as that still I am presence. That is the direct path to the source of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That is the direct path to being love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And that condition placed upon consciousness in mind that is generating the flow restrictor. So it's not about the physical appearances. It's the condition placed upon consciousness in mind, and you are not the mind, as you transcend the mind. As we acknowledge that pure consciousness is perfect as it is now. I am perfect as I am now, transcendent to the mind. Yes, I could place in mind this or that programming, this or that thought. In other words, you can really think for yourself. You don't have to think like this matrix programming that suggests you lack love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. That can result in suffering. Because if a condition is not met, it generates the illusion that you lack, which is illusory. You don't lack. What do you lack? You lack nothing. You are love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. The love, the happiness, the peace, the bliss, the fulfillment, the infinite intelligence that permeates the space, that animates all to be in harmony. Are you suggesting that you are separate from that? You cannot be. You cannot be separate from that love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, as when you release all the illusions of separation, the identification with the thoughts, the emotions, the behaviors, the environment, the people, the circumstance, the information, the physical appearances, the mental appearances, the mind. What permeates the body, what permeates the mind is love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Congratulations. You have found yourself, and now that you know yourself, now that you know who you are, how can you accept a limitation to be true? For you know it is clearly not true. It clearly does not represent truth. So we dissolve that conditioning placed upon consciousness in line by not identifying. Do not identify, as stated in Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You renew the mind by having God kiss the mind, by returning to that still I am presence. Exodus 3:14. I am that I am. Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. Thus I am the way, the absolute way, and mind is purified by abiding as that still I am presence. So anytime the individual is about to identify with a flow restrictor or has been identified with a flow restrictor, the flow restrictor is illusory. It is a result of the matrix programming in mind, which is illusory programming that suggests that a condition needs to be met in order for you to experience whatsoever things that you desire. For the Father knows before you ask whatsoever things you desire. We could say then, reality is rigged in our favor, as it is. As reality is perfect as it is now, beyond the conditioning in mind. Release the conditioning. Prove it. What happens when you release the conditioning? What happens when you release identification? You return to the source. You experience that still I am presence. The individual does nothing to experience that still I am presence. We don't need to add anything to experience that still I am presence. You can just experience that still I am presence and by that I mean the experience of that still I am presence, can be described as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Yet those words point to the infinite love, the infinite happiness, the infinite peace, the infinite bliss, the infinite fulfillment that you are. And having experienced that in mind, in the body, experiencing it to permeate all, like when you're in flow state, like while you're in flow, exactly while you're in flow, this is the experience. Love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, all these things added on to me, body appears to flow, everything appears to flow, to be in harmony. That is the experience of flow. I am the way, and the way of life is flow. So we access the perfect reality. Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, the good, perfect, pleasing will. Why does it say pleasing, good, perfect? Because that is reality. That is reality. The individual might have thought that by trying to control reality, they could bring reality under control. Yet that's illusory. Reality does not need to be controlled. That would imply that something needs to be done in order to experience the perfect will of God. Thy will be done. You can do nothing. You can actually do things if you find it to be helpful. But what is pointed to here is the direct path, the easiest, fastest way to experience the reality of God, which is good, perfect, pleasing, complete love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. It is the easiest and direct path. How so? How is it easy and direct? Because do you do anything? Do you do anything physically or emotionally or mentally to access that still I am presence? Or do you just release identification to access that still I am presence? It may be challenging in the beginning for some individuals who think because they have done things in the past to experience that still I am presence, I need to do this and that to experience the still I am presence. They have that identification. That is to be released as well. What happens then is we can say it gets easier to not identify. Let things be. And by let things be, I'm not saying trying to ignore things, trying to pretend like it's not there. What I refer to is returning to that still I am presence, regardless of appearances, regardless of conditions, to experience that love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment without needing to do anything. That is what I mean by do nothing. You can do nothing. I can of myself do nothing. The Father within doeth the work. The Father within that doeth the work, the Father within that doeth the work is much more, yet we know the Father within through that still I am presence. Exodus 3:14. I am that I am. Thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. So the Father within doeth the work. I simply stop trying to control. I have no need to control as I acknowledge in that still I am presence that love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment is reality. And then, interestingly, not only is that experience so profound, we might even say, wow, that experience of that still I am presence is so profound. It's profound love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Why do I need these things of this world? Yet what's interesting, I have found, is the symbols of what you have found within. As mentioned earlier, you can have whatever it is that you desire. If you find it within yourself, all those symbols of what does that look like? What is that experience like of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment? That could sound abstract to the point where the individual might question it. So I experience it and I describe it that way. Yet I also know that it transcends those descriptions. What can it look like? What appears is all those symbols added onto you. It has harmonious business, harmonious relationship, harmonious this, harmonious that, love-based, happiness-based, peace-based, bliss-based, fulfillment-based. When you experience those things, you say, oh, there it is. There's love. Steve Jobs. I used to listen to the Steve Jobs commencement speech over and over again when I was building my IT business from 2009 to 13. Over and over again. He said, like in all matters of the heart, or something like that. It's true. A person might not imagine what it looks like, which is totally fine. You don't need to force yourself to imagine. What I found is that visions flash upon your mind's eye. These imaginal acts flash upon your mind's eye without trying, and then you know what it looks like. But at times, you might not know what it looks like, but you know what it feels like. It's undeniable, the feeling. It's the realest of feelings. Love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment is the realest of feelings that I call it the reality of God. That still I am presence is representative of the reality of God. And although we choose not to condition what the reality of God is, we know that it is beyond limitation. We can describe it as love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, not to limit. Yet, interestingly, as all these things are added onto us, because we seek ye first the kingdom within, and all these things are added onto us. When they're added onto us, we say, oh yeah, there it is. There's love, there's happiness, there's peace, there's bliss, there's fulfillment. You could be walking in a park and you say, there's happiness, there's bliss, there's peace. You may have had a conflict with a friend or relationship partner, but now all of a sudden, the same person, there's love, there's happiness, there's peace, there's bliss. They may, in the earlier stages, look at you and say, the way you responded before was different. Something has changed. Something has shifted within you. You are actually more peaceful now, more in flow now. Like when I said that thing, it didn't bother you anymore. Why is that? Well, the being I am didn't change. The being I am is complete loving, complete happiness, complete peace, complete bliss, complete fulfillment. I may appear to change because I have accessed the source of what I was seeking for. Now, I don't need this person to say this or that, do this or that in order to experience the being I am. I can simply release identification at any moment while they're talking, before they're talking, after they're talking, whatever. And I have no need to argue with them, because why do I need to prove? Why do I need a condition to be met in order to experience love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment? I can do nothing to experience it in the moment. And as I access that source, and you can do the same as well, you and I are no different. We are complete love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment together. That still I am presence is the still I am presence in all. Thus we are that still I am presence, existing now in perfect love, perfect happiness, perfect peace, perfect bliss, perfect fulfillment. I am fulfilled, as ultimately only God alone exists, and besides God, there is no other to be in conflict with. Thus there's no I versus I, you versus me. There is I and you and me existing now as love, as happiness, as peace, as bliss, as fulfillment. How do I know? Well, as I return to the source, access that still I am presence, illusions of separation dissolve. So I relate to this individual perfectly and harmoniously because I know that all that exists is God. And all that exists perfectly is the love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment that permeates all, permeates them, permeates me, that brings people together, brings forth harmonious relationships. In business, it brings forth the assets, the intangible assets, the physical assets, the digital assets, the relationships, etc., that we combine in creative ways to produce additional revenue streams, etc. If you want to know more about that, I recommend watching my new channel focused exclusively on entrepreneurship. I'll link in the description to it. And by the way, I'm writing a book as well on entrepreneurship. If you're interested in that, I'll put a link in the description to an email list that you can join, and you can be notified of when it's released, which will actually be on my birthday coming up. So, the individual in front of us is not seen as separate, is not experienced as separate from us. We only see the love. We only see the happiness. We only see the bliss. We only see the fulfillment. We only see the peace as we abide as that still I am presence, which is transcendent to the appearances of this world, the appearances of the mental phenomena in mind, the thoughts, the emotions. We only experience them as one. Thus, we could say we go inwardly to access the source, abide as that still I am presence, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, permeates the mind, permeates the body, and thus permeates all, and inner and outer are experienced as one. We can say at that point, it is not experienced as there's an inner and outer. Inner and outer are experienced as one complete whole. As one complete whole. And the seeking at that point stops. And if the seeking appears, no shame, no condemnation. What do we do? Return to that still I am presence. Do you realize that that still I am presence was everything that you were looking for in this life? The programming may seem to suggest, no, it has to look this way or that way in order to experience love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, that which you truly desire. But when we don't identify with that illusory thinking, that programming dissolves, that programming that belongs to what the Bible refers to as the old man dissolves, it completely dissolves, and all that remains is reality, perfect as it is now. Body appears to flow, people appear to flow, everything appears to flow. You appear to be at peace in situations. You appear to be calm. You appear to be at ease in environments, circumstances, situations, where once it was thought of that it was impossible. Yet it's more and more possible for the individual. A good book to read, which articulates this in a different way, is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. So that love, that happiness, that peace, that bliss, that fulfillment is accessible now at any moment, and it's not based on condition. So what I teach is returning to that still I am presence, abiding as that still I am presence, to deprogram, reprogram the subconscious mind from those beliefs that were placed in mind for whatever the reason may be. Those conditions that belong to the matrix programming, the illusory world. It's not a real world. Is the matrix world a real world? It's not a real world. It's made up of programming. And that programming generates the illusion of conflict, suffering, me versus you, this versus that, which if the individual identifies with, it plays out as theater. But that theater does not represent reality, because we know that reality, upon experiencing reality, by returning to the source, that still I am presence, is perfect love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So we return back to the source, those conditions dissolve, and so do those manifestations of that matrix programming. They appear to disappear. I trust you notice this. Not only is this beneficial for the soul, not only is this beneficial for the individual realizing who they are, this also has practical benefits for the individual in this world here. Because the person, the individual, the body stops seeking, becomes more flow-based, you could say, more easeful, joyful, because it needs nothing now. And also does not worry, because the individual knows, experientially, it's embodied, the understanding of, I can of myself do nothing, the Father within doeth the work. So, without the need to control, everything happens. Without the needing to conform, reality appears to be in harmony, or we could say under control. It appears to be in harmony and under control for all, with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive. This is the way I like to describe it, because it appears as more and more and more so I see love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, I acknowledge that still I am presence is everything that I desire. As I abide as I am, it is experienced as everything that I desire. The love, the happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment that I desire. That I am. Now abiding as eternal love, eternal happiness, eternal peace, eternal bliss, eternal fulfillment. All these things that are symbols of love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment are added on to me in perfect harmony with all, with increasing frequency on a continuous basis as far as the senses perceive.